to faithfully represent their interests, to work hard and secure much needed government services and infrastructure for Bunbury and its people. These are issues I'll expand on a little bit later on. Trust and hard work are values ingrained in me from my infancy, and my father Antonio arrived in Australia in 1952. 2 years later, my mother Michelina, my sister Teresa and I joined him from...
Will the member in the House or the person in the gallery who has the mobile phone on please turn it off? Thank you. Sorry. Please continue.
Speaker. Thank you. 2 years later, my mother Michelina and my sister Teresa and I joined him from Roccamandolfi, which is a small village in the Molise region of Italy. He arrived in Australia not knowing the language or the custom, but he knew how to work. He also highly valued the freedom of democracy that democracy gives its people and how precious that freedom is. And it's something he constantly reminds our extended family of. My parents experienced extreme hardship in their early years, Madam Deputy Speaker, and it's hard to imagine the sacrifices they and many other people like them made to achieve their goal of eventually migrating to our democratic nation and this magnificent state of ours. Without their sacrifices, I would not be standing here today, and I have much pleasure in publicly thanking them in this building that enshrines democracy. I also like to thank my wife Loretta and daughters Lisa and Diana for their love and support. They, like many families of other non-metropolitan members, understand the times when we will be apart during my member of Parliament. Often I think that many people take for granted these personal sacrifices that our families experience as a result of us being members. I also like to thank my brother Frank and my sister-in-law Debbie, my sister Teresa and brother-in-law Jeff and their families for their tremendous ongoing support over the past years. I record my appreciation to the hard-working campaign committee and the many volunteers who assisted in my election result. And I especially wish to make special mention of my campaign manager, Mr. Gary Brennan, who was outstanding and played a major part in my campaign. I had a fantastic team and a dedicated one and focused one, and I thank them sincerely. Another person I wish to acknowledge is my business partner, Mr. John Gray, who for 12 months or more ran our business single-handedly. And this allowed me, of course, the freedom to being out on the campaign trail when I needed to be. And I thank him sincerely for his patience and his support. I acknowledge that political differences that exist in this chamber. However, I think it's important to observe that we all have much in common. And I look forward to those times when we combine the collective knowledge, skills and experience of all the members, regardless of their political persuasion, to achieve better outcomes for Western Australia, because I believe fundamentally that that is what we're here to do. I want to thank the Leader of the Opposition for having the confidence in my capacity to accept the responsibilities of a shadow ministerial portfolio. And can I also thank the Minister for Local Government and Regional Development for his cooperation in me gaining access to the Department of Local Government and Regional Development. I've had the honour of being the Mayor of the City of Bunbury for nearly 8 years, leading up to the time of my election to State Parliament. I acknowledge that in the past, some observers have suggested that Bunbury receives more than its so-called fair share of government spending. Not quite right, might I say. It is a fact that Bunbury and the greater Bunbury population has, in national terms, grown substantially over the past 2 decades and will continue to grow as more and more projects come on stream in the southwest. We know of the expansion plans for Worsley joint venture, of Alcoa's Wagerup refinery, the proposed power station near Collie, and recently announced the Bunbury International Racing Circuit that will attract thousands of visitors to Western Australia and the greater Bunbury region once racing commences. The economic spin-offs of this in terms of hospitality infrastructure and technical infrastructure will be quite staggering. I'm very proud to be associated with this project, when I first invited Mr Roberts to consider Bunbury as the perfect location for his vision. During my time as Mayor, I gained a sound understanding of matters that are important to the Bunbury community. During my campaign for this election, I gained further insights from individuals and representative groups within the Bunbury community on matters that must be resolved, some immediately and some over time. And I'd now like to touch on some of those key outcomes that I will seek to secure for Bunbury during the next 4 years of this term of Parliament. According to the Bunbury Mental Health Consumer Carer Reference Group, the urgent mental health priorities for Bunbury and the near region include having a fully operational mental health clinic and additional professional staff. Prior to my campaigning, may I say, whilst I had an understanding of the mental health problems within our community, I had limited understanding of the extent to which mental health affects our community. And according to the reference group, approximately 50% of our population either suffers from or is the family or the carer of a person suffering some form of mental illness. We have all read and heard of the tragic deaths of innocent parents and children through murders and murder-suicides, and I sometimes wonder if these incidents could have been avoided. These are difficult matters for all of us, and one of my goals is to contribute in a positive way to assist Western Australia provide more assistance to persons suffering from mental illness and their carers. Remaining on the health matters, the State of Western Australia built a first-class health campus at Bunbury and co-located with St John of God Healthcare. Where St John of God Healthcare has flourished without controversy, the public health system seems at times to be in crisis mode. I was appalled to hear of some of the experiences of patients, of the nurses, of the doctors within the Bunbury public health system. And these are matters that I will be pursuing together with my colleagues of the Greater Bunbury region to identify remedies and to secure those through this place where necessary. I applaud the government's election promises for Bunbury, and because they were in close similarity in the government and coalition pledges for Bunbury during the recent campaign. And I look forward to the promises of being fulfilled, including the funding of the construction of the Bunbury Port Access Road, which will remove many trucks from the potential conflict with passenger vehicles along the current road routes into and adjacent to the Bunbury Port. Both the former coalition governments and Labor governments have been aware of the need to construct this access road due to the increasing number of trucks carrying a variety of products into our port for export. And I commend the government for its pledge to construct this road. I and many other Bunbury residents are pleased to see the start of the civil construction which will complete the Bunbury Back Beach Upgrade project. Another project that dates back to the coalition government. This project will transform the Back Beach into a precinct where families can enjoy landscaped beach in front of relatives in relative safety. Importantly, the Back Beach will become more protected from the occasionally destructive storms that erode much of the coast in that precinct. The government's pledge to substantially upgrade Newton Moore Senior High School and the Bunbury Senior High School are also welcomed. Apart from the Administration Centre and the Performing Arts Centre, Newton Moore Senior High School is very tight complex. The financial commitment by the government will result in long overdue works. For example, when I visited the Newton Moore last year with a member for Cottesloe, I was appalled to see the water damage to ceilings and the walls. And with the new high school at Dalyellup also pledged by the government, that school will accommodate many students currently attending Newton Moore, and hopefully the issue of overcrowding and students being accommodated in transportable buildings may become a thing of the past for Newton Moore once the Dalyellup school is in a position to accept high school students. I look forward to the positive physical upgrades of the Newton Moore, adding to a positive school environment for students, for the teachers and the parents. I know the teachers of the Bunbury Senior High School, one of my former schools, are also looking forward to the pledge by the government to build a new library and student amenities area. The Bunbury Outer Harbour redevelopment project, initiated by the City of Bunbury several years ago, is another exciting project for the Greater Bunbury area. The transformation of the former port installation area, which 12 years ago contained large fuel storage tanks and a wastewater treatment plant, have been transformed into a world-class residential development. And the excellent resources of the state government agencies, including Landcorp, the Bunbury Port Authority, and what is now the Department of Planning and Infrastructure and the City of Bunbury, combine to achieve the Marsden Hill outcomes that we see today. The redevelopment has received national recognition in development awards. I'm very confident that the same partnership that transformed Marsden Hill will achieve terrific outcomes with the Outer Harbour redevelopment, should it prove viable. I will constantly inquire with the government as to the progress of these projects and keep the Bunbury electorate well informed on the status. Coming from a small business background, Madam Deputy Speaker, I'm aware of the varying impacts of government decisions on the ability of small business to get on with the things that small business does well, and that is create economic growth, which in turn generates employment and capacity within our society to enjoy many of the important social aspects of our community. I am aware of the impact of excessive taxes, fees and charges, and the impact of delays on projects caused by unnecessary bureaucracy. And I look forward to bringing that experience into debates to assist members in their consideration of these important matters prior to making decisions that will be damaging to our small business sector. I acknowledge that I have much to learn, and I look forward to benefiting from the experiences of other members in areas that I may not be familiar with. Madam Deputy Speaker, I prefer to get things done through building partnerships and working with people to achieve great outcomes. And I reflect back on politicians of various persuasions who are great statesmen and women for Western Australia, who had the respect of Parliament and citizens and retained their dignity while getting on with the job of representing to the best of their ability their constituents and their electorates. And I hope that I can walk in their shadow. Earlier I spoke of the sacrifices that my parents made to migrate to this magnificent state and country. And it's times like this that I reflect on those sacrifices and consider my broader responsibilities to do the very best that I can for the current and future communities of Bunbury. And in doing so, I hope to be also to contribute to the well-being of Western Australia. And finally, I extend an invitation to all members and their families to visit Bunbury. I will gladly host them to view the changes and to meet with the community to understand their issues and suggestions on where we can assist, and also to hear from those involved in the exciting plans for Bunbury over the next few years. I'd like to thank the House for this opportunity to address the members, and in conclusion I wish to move the following amendment. But regrets to inform Your Excellency that the Gallop Labor government has failed to ensure proper standards for community safety and accountability to the people in regard to Western Australian prison systems.